Ugh,
We are
almost there.
live by what it says.
Does it say? We are live. Woo woo. Hi, it's Sue Greenwald again, and I'm here with the real, the one, and the only John Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing awesome. Every day I get to spend chatting with you is just
Yeah,
wonderful. It's so
yeah.
much appreciated.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, as always, we always show the book Stolen Identity, written by John. And so a lot of our conversation is based on this book and his story and our previous videos. So please go back to the first few videos if you're not familiar with the story, right? Um, so how have things been for you lately?
Really hectic, really hectic.
Yeah,
I get kicked and I keep getting up and sometimes when I'm down on the ground, the lions lift me back up and encourage me to keep going.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah.
Uh, like when this book first came out, the reviews, um,
Sorry.
kicked and
So sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Um, the first review, I believe, was a negative 1 star comment on Amazon, just because the haters don't want the truth out. Well, I just looked on Barnes and Nobles. I don't push Barnes and Nobles too much. Jackie Goldman, the one that wrote the book, was like, let's try to push Amazon. So I looked on Barnes and Nobles at the reviews. It had 5 star reviews. There was only 2 reviews. And then I looked this morning and I got kicked in the balls again because somebody left a 1 star review that shot it way down because there's only 3 reviews. But people know what my book is about before they purchase it. These people that leave these 1 star reviews are purposely trying to kick me in the balls and not
Yeah,
get this story out
yeah.
because this book uncovers the cabal.
Right, right.
It exposes the satanic cults and the evil ones that are running the country. They
Right.
don't want it out. I'm exposing murders. Me and Robin were in the car the other day, and we're talking about the haters and the people with no remorse over my son's death and everything. And I was like, what am I exposing in the book? I'm exposing downright murders that our federal government, our FBI, and myself, they're not bringing out to light because I'm exposing them for being criminals.
Right.
So I have a lot of haters, but I would appreciate these people if you purchased a book on Barnes and Noble. Please leave a review. Leave a review on Amazon. Let's cover up the haters with the truth. And there's so many wonderful reviews on Amazon. I ask people to just please leave a review. There's so many wonderful reviews on
Right.
Amazon. If
Right.
people look, check it out.
Right. I've got to assume the people writing the negative reviews haven't even read the book properly. They're just trying to bring the um what do you call it, the algorithm down and bring the ratings down and all that. And they're targeting like some of our videos will get comments and they're very negative and that person has an agenda or that's their job is to distract from your story.
Well, these
So
these people that I'm exposing for, all the way up to pre-planned first degree murder and accessory to pre-planned first degree murder and
mm,
identity theft. Identity theft is still a crime, people. The murder of my family was still a crime. There's been no justice for me or for them.
right.
And these people have stolen billions and billions of dollars doing it. The people in our government that are the billionaires, they are the cabal, straight up. And that's what we're up against. We are up against the cabal. We are up against billionaires that have stolen all their money with identity theft. And they don't want this story out. It's plain and
Yeah.
simple. They don't want us out on YouTube. They don't want us out on TikTok, Facebook. With that said, Bill Messer, tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time. He's gonna. I just met him. He said we were scheduled to do an interview last year. I didn't know anything about it, um, but he was like, "Hey, what happened to our interview last year?" And I was like, "Let's do one then." So tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Facebook with Bill. He sounds like a way cool guy. He's the same age as me. and he wants to share my story. So I'm like, hey, let's get it out as much as we can.
So that's
So
gonna be on Facebook, and it's, his last name is Messer.
yeah, Messer, I believe.
Okay,
Let me make sure, double check. I called King Smarty, my phone. I had many messages to return to people.
yeah,
Um, I got my son's ashes from the funeral home, and I was sitting there driving around, talking with my son like we used to, just driving around. And I was like, I need to call the king. It helped my mind a lot, eased my mind a lot. He
yeah,
gave me good news, wonderful. King's a wonderful guy. He really is.
totally, totally. He
Um,
has your best interest in heart, as do most of the people that listen to your story. And, we're, the purpose of doing these videos is really to get the story out to those that don't know it, to build awareness, to build support. And, there's times that you have been down recently and with good reason, you know what I mean? And we're here to support you, and we believe your story. We don't want any more stories like this. We don't want to hear any more stories like this. But my guess is that once you start gaining more momentum, which you will, more and more people are going to come forward with shocking stories similar to yours. Maybe
I
not
hope
the
I
exact.
hope they do. I hope we can get a platform where we can all get together, because I'm not the only victim to the cabal.
Yeah.
But my father was the president of the United States,
Right.
and I'm exposing what they did. Everybody's seen they killed my father in broad daylight. They do things like that right out in the open for many, many reasons. But what I'm sharing is the rest of my family murdered and covered up, and their fortunes stolen by the cabal.
Right.
But this is Bill.
Uh,
Bill
up
on
in here. Let's see. Bill
That's
Messer.
Bill on Facebook. I don't know what just happened.
Okay.
I was doing a live, Bill Bill Messer on Facebook. Look him up. He's got a freedom flag, the United States flag on his. So add him, and we're gonna go 8 o'clock Eastern time. That's
8 o'clock.
$5 Arizona time, my time today.
Okay. All right. So those of you that can make it, please share that around to other people that might like to hear the story as well. And have you ever talked with Bill before? Like, does he know your core story?
He doesn't know much. I don't believe he's read the book. After I called King, I was calling people and returning their
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
King was right on the top of my list. He asked me to call him when I got time, like a week earlier.
Yeah.
I was in a funk. But I was returning calls, and I talked with Bill for a little bit on the phone,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's wanting to share the truth, get the truth out, and I was
Awesome.
like, let's do it. So
Awesome.
I don't know him. He really doesn't know me. He doesn't know my story. He didn't know my son had passed away. He kind of tripped out when I said, yeah, I'm driving down the road in my truck with my son in a box. Um, he was like, well, that sounds kind of morbid. It's like, well, my son recently passed away, and I just picked him up from the funeral home. So there's a lot people don't know about my story,
Yeah.
and we're getting it out the best we can.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was on YouTube doing a video. Um, it's probably going to be the last one that I share about my son and everything. But when I started mentioning, you know, the truth, my screen flashed. It literally flashed right in the middle of my live YouTube video. Everything crashed. So I had to fire back up everything. They cut off my live in mid sentence, and I started a new live. I was able to get back on. So yesterday's video of my son is part one, and then part two, because yeah, boom, just totally cut me off.
Yeah, and they're doing all sorts of things. Like the first couple of times we talked, they totally corrupted the video. We couldn't we couldn't hear each other. We couldn't hear the answers. It was very uncomfortable because it wasn't smoothly done. But that's done on purpose. They do that on purpose to discourage us.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm begging and asking the true lions, the true patriots. When I picked up my son and we're driving around, I went and checked my PO box, And I got this letter from this husband and wife, and they're like, John, we're doing everything we can to share, which is so appreciated. They made a copy of my book cover. And this couple is going to the grocery stores in town,
Oh,
places that have billboards, and they're pinning this up on the billboards for everybody to see. You know, if the social media is going to take us down, we got to go old school, because this affects everybody. I'm exposing, hey, we got murderers, we got thieves, and these people, we're putting them in power to control us. And it needs to be exposed. Our social media, we're learning. We're being controlled. We're in a regime. They're only telling the truth on what they want the
yeah,
truth out.
yeah.
From YouTube to TikTok, you know, I sound like a broken record, but I was getting 1,000 followers a day, 1,000 followers a day on TikTok. I had 45,000 followers, and they just removed my account. They owed me money. I paid them to advertise a video. They didn't advertise the video at all. I paid them. They never sent it back to me, refunded it back to me. They simply took my account down. Um, I got TikTok pretty much figured out, because all my videos, they pay you if your videos get views. My videos were getting thousands, hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. They removed the videos as soon as they'd reached like 100,000. They would take them down and say misinformation. And like I shared in my videos, this is my son. He was proud of that book. This is not misinformation. That is David Quigley. He needs to go down in the history books. We need to rewrite the history books. You type in John Kennedy Jr. and who comes up? Somebody that doesn't have any Kennedy blood at all, none, a member of the cabal, a member of organized crime. This is going into the school books, and it's lies, it's deception. Caroline Kennedy, same thing. My mother, Jackie. It needs to go that my mom was killed in 1975 and replaced. My mother. I'm an eyewitness to her laying in a puddle of blood, killed by government agents. That needs to go in our history books, not what you think you believe. And I was thinking of this last night. People need to forget. They just need to clear their minds of everything they've heard, everything they've seen. What do they actually know? The truth. What have they actually learned and seen? Not what they've been told, because a lot of what's been told is lies, straight up lies.
It seems though, a lot of people don't have open minds, we'll tell them the story and they either look at me like I'm crazy or whatever. They'll keep going. They won't even ask a question. So they don't seem to have curiosity, but the programming is so deep in them, they won't even consider that the story is bigger or different than what they've been taught, you
And
know?
not everybody can be intelligent. There's stupid people out there, straight up.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, it's like, everybody's been taught over the years. When I was a kid, you know, it's so changed. If you were in an event and you won, they would give you a first place, second place, and third place medal. Now they want to give a medal to all the losers. It's like, why give, they didn't achieve that first place medal. People need to
yeah.
realize, you know, life is life, but things are changing so for the, you know, and then I don't know why I'm coming up with this, but warning labels on every single thing. You know, they gotta put a warning label on a ladder, or the ladder company will get sued. Hey, this is a ladder. If you're stupid and fall off and break your neck, it's your own fault. You know, I
Well,
mean, you get a plastic bag and it's got a sticker on it. Hey, if you stick this over your little child's head, it's gonna suffocate. What's up with that? Come on. There are stupid people out there, and I'm sorry, but yeah, people don't pay attention. They don't do a little research. They don't have the education. or the knowledge, and they need to get some.
Yeah, they're so worried about lawsuits about everything because there's been so many frivolous and crazy lawsuits. I mean, like 20 or 30 years ago, somebody burned their self on hot coffee at like McDonald's or somewhere, and they won millions of dollars. Well, most of us know it's implied that coffee is hot when you buy it, usually, and it cools down as time goes down, as time goes on. It's implied, right? A lot of this stuff
Yeah,
is implied, but our
somebody got a
society,
good payoff on that deal.
yeah, yeah, it's
And
all about.
after that, how many people went to McDonald's and got coffee and threw it on themselves? You know, that they heard somebody got millions of dollars, so everybody's going to McDonald's buying coffee, pouring it on
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, that's true. And then, like we've heard about the stories about like they find parts of a mouse or a frog or something in their food. People were putting stuff in their food, But it's just funny because people would do crazy things for money, but in general, what you're saying is people are they're they think it's an easy way to get money, and so a lawsuit is a great way for easy money, which is not true at all. But our
Yeah, it
society
gets
is
people thinking though, thinking
it,
about that easy money.
yeah, yeah, it's just really about self-protection, about protecting the company against lawsuits or whatever.
Well, you imagine the lawsuits if I had a team of lawyers,
Yeah.
what they have done to me. I could back the court system up for
Yeah.
50 years. Seriously, I
Yeah,
could. We're being hindered. I have not had one lawyer. No, I have not been approached by one single lawyer.
right.
I think lawyers are sharks anyway. When I was young, all the fake Kennedys and all the fake people, they went to law school, and they went to law school for one time, so they could be assholes. They could screw people over, and win in a court of law. So all the cabals started being lawyers. I mean, look at them, presidents of the United States, lawyers. My
Yeah.
sister Caroline, a fake. Um, the man that replaced me, John Kennedy, George Onassis, a lawyer. He was even a district attorney, by what I heard. I tried to distance myself and not learn, but I hear this stuff that comes out. But lawyers, everything that they have ever done in a court of law needs to be thrown out. They're imposters.
Right.
Every single thing they have ever done, any part of law. I mean, they're not who they say they are. How
The
could
whole
it be
thing
legal?
the whole thing is fraudulent, and just think of it this way, a president with a transgender wife it's not being disclosed properly. To me, that's fraudulent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
well, the cabal is big on transgender.
yeah,
They got everything to do from
yeah,
they start them out as children, convince them, hey, you're a man, but you need to be a woman.
yeah,
And they get these little girls and they rape them and every other thing and say, hey, you don't like men anymore. You need to go find some women. But it's a satanic cult that does that. I've seen it
right.
over and over again. I was molested when I was young. The things that they had me do, crazy shit, absolutely crazy. And then they would put me in, I mean, tie me up in rope and have me sexually assaulted so they could take pictures to extort money from the Kennedy family. It really concerns me how many Kennedys tried to save my life and were killed in this war. I have learned the extreme on what they do. I really have. It's all up here, but it's crazy what people don't know. I'm trying to share it. And we were talking about lawyers. It was really difficult when me and Jackie, we spent a lot of time video chatting for my book and, you know, hours and hours for months. So she could help me write the book and write the book. And she kept saying, we can't put that in legally. We might get sued. We can't put this in legally because we might get sued. There's so much not in the book because we might get sued. It hinders the truth. I don't like lawyers. I'm old school. You know, I believe in Hell's Angels way. Somebody do you wrong, you do them wrong back. straight up. You don't need to go to a lawyer to get justice. But and I was reading. I don't watch the news, so things pop up all the time on my phone or on here when I'm trying to share my story. Um, when Trump supporters tried to take over the White House, I didn't even know this, but they made a little gallows that probably on the White House lawn, and there was a guy saying we need to hang all politicians. Should he have 20 years in prison for doing that? And I was thinking, I don't support Trump or anything else, but this guy wanted to hang politicians. Now, was it after a court of law, after military trials, or a fair hearing for these politicians? Because there's a lot of politicians, and I'll say it straight up, that need to be hung. They need to be hung. Are people going to stick John Kennedy Jr. for saying that? No, but they need a fair trial. They really, really need, and the court system's rigged all the way to our Supreme Court. I'm an eyewitness to them murdering and replacing Supreme Court justices. Eyewitness, people. So what's that tell you about our justice system when the Supreme Court has been overturned by the cabal, overrun by the cabal?
Right.
But yeah, a fair hearing. Yeah, I believe him 100%. But the way he did it, what he meant in his heart, who knows? But was somebody just making a post that this guy should go prison for 20 years for building a gallows and saying politicians need to be hung? There needs to be more to the story. He needs a fair trial before he goes to prison for 20 years for doing it. Because I can see me up there on that gallows with my AR-15 with 100 rounds in it saying, hey, we need to take care of this shit too. But they did it the wrong way.
Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble.
They don't want me in a court of law. They really don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
they'll
thinking,
go out of their way. When I make a comment, and I made this same comment before Donald Trump picked it up. I said I could get away with killing somebody in the middle of the street because they don't want me in a court of law. Donald Trump stole that, used it, but Donald Trump got in trouble because Donald Trump was making world news at the time. But it's true. They don't want me in a court of law because, like I said earlier, I will set it back 50 years of just the murders, the politicians, the dead bodies, the identity theft, the cabal running our government, what I personally know. And I'll sit there in a court of law. I have no problem saying, well, what about this murder? Or what about that murder? Put me on national TV. They don't want me. They don't want me on national TV. They really don't.
and you've gone to the FBI like numerous times, like you write all that in your book, but you've told us the stories, and they were out, they laughed you out, they rejected you. Obviously, the three-letter agencies were all in on what was happening to your family and to what was happening to you, but they dismissed everything you were trying to tell them.
I don't know if I shared this story, but I don't mind sharing it. Wayne came to me. I had 3 weapons, I believe, 3 weapons in my little trailer house for protection, maybe more. But Wayne came to me and he said, by the way, I put this one weapon in this guy's mouth and blew the back of his head off. And he said, guess what? That weapon's in your closet. And he said, what are you going to do when the police get here? Wayne told me this. He said, when the police get here, just do what they tell you. He said, put your hands behind your back and go to prison. Wayne told me that. So basically, Wayne was telling me, we just set you up for murder 1. The murder weapon is in the closet of your RV. And I was like, wow. But they were messing with me before that. They kept me up for days before that, just to get your mind all confused and frustrated before he told me that. So I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to prison for murder I didn't even commit. Not that the guy didn't deserve his head being blown off. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I imagine if Wayne did it, he did. I had 2 guys from the bar walk over, and they were in my house. We were partying a little bit. One of them grabbed the weapon and pointed it at Wayne's house. And I was like, whoa, dude, don't point that direction at all. But a couple of days later, Wayne said that weapon got put in the guy's mouth and his head got blown off. So you put one and one together. Um, they were obviously, people do things without telling you, or, But anyway, I was like, wow, I'm going to prison for murder. So I went into my closet and I got that weapon Wayne said about, and I cut it in half. I cut the barrel with the hacksaw off. I put them all in a duffel bag. This is hundreds and hundreds of dollars in weapons. I didn't have money to go spend $1,000 on a weapon, but it was a murder weapon. I had to do what I thought I had to do, so I didn't go to prison. So I cut them up, put them in a duffel bag. I had a nice little motorbike back then. So I put the duffel bag with these weapons in the back, and I go all the way up to Lake Tahoe. Why I went to Lake Tahoe, I don't know. MK Ultra's kind of confusing anyway. So I'm up at Lake Tahoe and I'm sitting there looking at the lake, and I'm like, they say this lake's pretty deep. So I'm tossing all these weapons in the lake. I'm riding around. I'm throwing other parts of these weapons here, over here. I went 800 miles throwing pieces of weapons in the forest. I'm like, well, that's why the FBI gets paid. They can find it all. That's why they got to do their homework. So I'm driving through the woods at a campground 100 miles from where I threw this little part of this weapon. 100 miles threw that in there. And I'm driving around trying to get my thoughts. And I'm like, the caval's everywhere, FBI's everywhere. I pull up, a SUV pulls up next to me, and I'm on my bike, and you can see they're looking at me on their little computer. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, I got to do what's right. I got to do what's right. So after I did all that, I went to the FBI. And I said, by the way, I was told somebody committed a murder with my weapon, and I took it up here and I did this with it and I did that with it. I just wanted you to know because I wanted to do the right thing. Straight up, I'm letting you know what was said, what I had to do. And I believe Wayne was sitting behind the double paned window in the FBI office listening to me tell him that. And they're like, it's all good. It's all good, Dave. Just go away.
Really?
I got some really cool stories, but when you're actually there, because when I went to the FBI, you got to realize my sister at 15 years old was killed by these people. My mother in 1975 was killed by these people. My stepfather, Aristotle Onassis, was killed by these people. So when I'm confronted with, okay, I got to go to the people that killed my loved ones and let them know because that's the right thing to do. So anyway, I did the right thing. I told them what I did, what was done. Go away. They were almost like happy I told them. Maybe it was a test by Wayne to see if I would turn bad or good. I don't have the answers. All I know, there's plenty of tests in this world. There's test after test to see what people will do. Everybody needs to be tested. They really, really do. But I think that was one big test on my part. I really do.
Do you think Wayne was testing you? Like, do you think a murder really happened with the weapon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can
So,
see it in my head, Wayne blowing this guy's head off. But that's how they're played. If somebody is coming to kill Wayne and planning to kill Wayne, he'd blow their head off before,
okay.
So yeah, I believe the story 100%, but it's all being played. If something like that happens, it's almost like a game, but it's a never stopping game. They use everything to find out everything. Intelligence, all about intelligence. But yeah, when that guy came over with his friend and they were looking at my weapons, and it was a sniper rifle, is what it was. It was a really badass sniper rifle, but he picked it up and he pointed it right at Wayne's RV, right at the window. And I was looking at him like, why are you doing that? And I was like, I grabbed it. I said, no, you don't want to do that. But 2 days later, when he said, "Hey, I put your gun in somebody's mouth and blew the back of his head off, dude."
Wow. Wow. I'm assuming that the FBI would never have records of you coming in. Like, I know you've gone there repeatedly and they've always rejected your, concern, whatever it may be.
Here's the deal: there's so many records. When I was put on MK Ultra and taken around, everything was recorded. Every single thing. There was always somebody doing paperwork, always doing reports on what was going on. If somebody was killed, they were doing a report on it. There's more reports, And then I think of when that happens, how when a country gets invaded, you see them even on the movies. They're all putting all their paperwork in burn barrels, burning it all, getting rid of all the evidence. But there is so much documentation on me through these agencies. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, every single time, every time. It got to be, you'd see somebody there on with a clipboard, sitting there like doing this paperwork again. Kind of like, when you see a police if something happens and they got to fill out their report.
Yeah.
Big thing. But yeah, they recorded so much.
Interesting. Interesting. So what you've said today then in this book, you had much more detail than you put in there, names, and all of that other more specifics than you put in here. And those were deliberately let out or left out. So that is ammunition for you for when you come out to the public, you have names, more specifics than we're reading here.
Oh, they don't want me in a court of law.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't get a big head about that, but they're trying to squash it from coming out. But
Right.
I got so much. I'm a walking computer on knowledge of the cabal. Like I said, I can't get a big head, but they don't want me out. If it's a federal crime, they don't want me in a federal court. Because the
Right.
first thing I'm going to say is, what about Obama? What about Clinton? What about Bush? What about all these? That's the top as high as it gets.
Well, in the public eye, right? They're really puppets, most of those guys, but in our mind, they're the highest possible level of success, authority, whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah, we were talking about Donald Trump not being Donald Trump.
Right.
We are talking about my sister not being my sister, my brother not being lawyers. Think about the president of the United States not being who he said he was. Anything he did in his presidency, anything, any legal thing has to be thrown out.
Yeah.
Think about a term of a president not being who he said he was, being placed by our Secret Service to do legislation, to sign documents, and none of it's legal because he wasn't who he said he was.
Yeah.
It's big. This story is huge.
Huge.
And they know how to put it all over the news. I just made a comment on Facebook. They said Trump's plane had a problem. I seen Trump's plane sitting on the runway in Montana or whatever it was. Every news channel is covering that. Every single news channel is covering that. They know how to put it out there. It's huge what we're exposing, but they know how to operate. They know how to get free,
That's what they're doing is they're trying to build a buzz about a story. It's distraction. All right. So look over here. Oh my God, Trump is in trouble. Trump this, Trump has been shot at. Blah, 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 blah. So you don't see what's going on the other side.
right.
You know what I mean?
And to you Trump supporters, do me a favor. Look up Trump and Epstein. They're best friends. Look up Trump and the body double George that stole my identity. Best friends. Clinton, best friends. It's the same cabal crime ring, people. You really need to wake up. Why was Epstein killed in prison? Why is all this going on? How come Epstein's wife, girlfriend, or whatever her name is in prison to this day? Donald Trump had more to do with it than she did, I imagine. But yet, the news doesn't put that on Fox Nightly News that Donald Trump and Epstein were best buddies, that they hung out together, that they liked little girls. But if you Google it, if you search up the pictures, they're there. They're all over TikTok. Little girl sitting on Donald Trump's lap on a jet with Epstein. Come on, people. They don't tell you because they want to build up Donald Trump to keep us in chains.
Right, right. So like we've talked about, the political system is corrupt. So both parties corrupt, the candidates are chosen, like we think we're voting for the best candidate. And we're voting for, like, our vote really doesn't matter. It goes to who they've already put in place.
I actually made a post on TikTok. I made a new account on TikTok. It has like 1,000 followers, but I made a post. I believe it was this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I just Googled generals of the United States. So I started screenshotting all these generals with all their military uniforms. I made a post on TikTok. When did we forget the president of the United States is a commander in chief? When did we forget that? When did they program us into thinking somebody like Harris, somebody like Biden, somebody like Trump is above these generals, is above these people that have spent a career, a lifetime serving the United States of America, not playing around with little girls on jet planes with Epstein, not Pizzagate, not all this other cabal nonsense, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people more qualified to be a commander in chief. But we lost it. We lost it when we think that these two candidates are the best for our country. We need to wake up, people. None of them are the best. And there's hundreds and hundreds more that are.
Right. There's no question about that. Like, you know, what they keep announcing these people, and it's like it's like almost like a big game show, isn't it? It's like they're pulling people out of their butts that are not qualified, that legally can't qualify to be president, but it's just distraction. Of course, now all the women are voting for Harris because she's a woman, supposedly.
And that's the only reason. That is the only reason. Not because she's the best qualified.
Not because she's done anything.
Not because she is a commander in chief material. You see Harris up there, picture hundreds of these military commanders, hundreds of them. And she's up there saying, I want you to do this, and I want you to do that. And if this country comes to attack us, you do this and you do that. I don't see that, people. I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
We need a commander. We need a commander in chief as president of the United States that says, you generals take care of business over here. You generals take care of business over here. And whatever you do, take care of our soldiers first of all.
Yeah. Yeah. And look what's happened to the, like, you know, we've talked about this before. The soldiers come home. They've been tricked into, you know, going to war. All right. They lose, they commit, you know, atrocious acts because they have to. They lose part of their body. They're psychologically tortured, you know, by seeing what they see. They come home and then they're tossed aside. Horrible, horrible.
Well, I was taught, and I went on several missions, but I was taught in the black ops. That's secret. That means we don't tell you what we're doing. Special black ops. And a lot of it is done with MK Ultra. You go places you're not supposed to be in secret, so they don't advertise. And I forgot where I was going to go with that. I really did.
It's all good.
They don't tell you. They don't tell you what you're doing. I joined the military. I signed the papers, but it was Black Ops Special Forces. I went to boot camp for the Army and every other thing. I spent a few weeks here, a few weeks there. Wayne wanted me to learn what was going on with all these. And once that happened, I would get put on a helicopter. I would get put on a plane. I'd be taken to Guantanamo. I'd get taken to a little fucking island with a cave in it. You walk in that cave and it's a regular military room. And you're in this room and you look down and there's a big target on the beachfront. And it's for the naval ships to shoot at that target. And some of the things I saw are crazy. You see a big concrete slab for the Navy to target in on this little island. And then you see a chair sitting there with somebody sitting in that chair. And they're sitting there tied to this chair, and they're on a target for battleships to shoot at. I've seen some really crazy shit.
Wow.
But they tell you, you don't need to know what you're doing. You're in the military now. Don't ask questions. You don't need to know where you're at. I walked in to a military base on an island, and it was full of, it was one of those metal like airplane hangars, but it was full of bunks. My job was to make all the beds. There was no one there but me. And I was handed a jump rope. They're like, you get bored, you skip rope. But you don't need to know where the fuck you're at. That's what I learned. That's what I lived. And the next thing I know, I'm loading dead bodies of Reverend Jim Jones followers in tin cans. We call them tin cans. They're just cheap coffins. You're putting the Vicks in your nose because the body stinks so bad. But I was never there, all covered up. I was never there because they don't advertise.
Right.
But there's a lot I don't advertise. And a lot of it's not pretty. A lot of it's not good. But you're told. You're in the military now. You do what you're told. You shut the fuck up. You do what you're told. But me trying to get justice and get recognized for my service, I had one person, this was a few months ago, they said I ought to be ashamed of myself for claiming I was in the service. Well, that person really needs to be ashamed of themselves for making a comment like that on what I have done for this country. They really do.
Wow.
And what I'm trying to do now to expose what's really going
Right.
on and what people don't know.
Right. I think most of us that are watching this now already know that there's corruption out there. We just look around at the headlines, we see what's being promoted. It doesn't even make sense half the time. And most people are too distracted to really think more deeply about, does this sound feasible? Is this legal? What's the agenda below it? Whatever there might be. So we're already kind of with the program. But again, we learn more each time that we talk by listening to your stories, the reasons why things are done, how it's done, like that, things are done. Like that story about Jim Jones, like we were told an incorrect story about the whole thing.
That was all done
Yeah.
because that one California senator, I believe it was a California senator. I don't pay attention. I just know the details, but I believe it was a California senator. The cabal puts their family members in place. It's blood in, blood out. So that senator from California was family to the cabal. So when that senator went to talk to Reverend Jim Jones and they killed him, the people in charge running the cabal said, they're all going to die now. They took one of ours, we take all of them. So that was pre-planned. Reverend Jim Jones didn't do that. They were pre-planned to die for taking that one life of a cabal member. I know this personally.
Right.
That's
So
how things are done.
Yeah. So they were all forced to drink poison, and he was one of the last ones, if I remember the story. Like he didn't want to drink it, but they made him.
No, he was shot.
He was shot. Okay.
Yeah, I've had many questions. Sometimes I avoid the questions, but he didn't have the balls to drink the poison himself after all his followers were made to drink it.
Yeah.
And he was shot.
Hmm.
They said, you don't want to drink the poison, you're gone. They all got to go.
Yeah. And so then we're told it's a cult, and the whole story is twisted and convoluted. Right?
It's the same situation as David Koresh. Same thing. These people like Jim Jones are family to the cabal. They are put in place by the cabal. And if they don't pay up their dues, or if something happens, like they take another cabal's life member, that's what happens. David Koresh, same thing. He was getting too big for the Clintons, too big for the organized crime family at the top. He didn't want to pay up. He wanted to do his own thing. He started buying weapons to fight back. And Everybody's seen what happened to, they made an excuse with David Koresh. I think I got the names right. I've tortured not to remember names, but I know the story. So they said David Koresh was a child molester. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But that was the excuse. So they got him to buy firearms illegally. This is all planned by the cabal. And I know this because I know this. But so they said he was committing sex crimes on children. That's intolerable. He was buying weapons. That's intolerable. He's planning to do some no good. So what happened? Our government stepped in and killed all those fucking children. What's worse? David Koresh molesting a little girl, maybe, or our government killing all those children? I mean, it's not really a tough call, but it should have been played out a little bit better. But our government is responsible for all those children's murders.
Yeah. And we know through talking, like most of the like historic events, the crises that we've heard about, the wars, the this, the that, most of that isn't even true. Like it's all fabricated to influence us, this, the watcher, right? So they create this and there's an agenda always. And of course, we don't know it until we do. And once you've seen it, you can't unseen it. You can't unsee it.
Henry, by the way, Henry's a lion. He's a brother of mine. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Henry. But Henry brought it to my attention because in my book it says I was a child in Vietnam. Well, Henry does a lot of research and brings a lot of stuff to my attention. He showed me a picture of Sam Walton's son in Vietnam. And I looked at it and my heart stopped. I was like, that was one of the brothers protecting me. Wow. I put the faces together. Sam Walton's son died in a plane crash. Sam Walton and the Walton family started Walmart. It's huge. It is huge. The links. And I remember Sam Walton's son. He's the one that had all the leather straps. And they were saying, the group of brothers, it was people high up. When I was just a kid, they never came back for me when I was under that bush, pissing myself, shitting myself, thinking I was going to die as a child in Vietnam. It's really an unbelievable story. To me, it still is. I remember as a child sitting there eating that nasty food. I was used to gourmet food. John Kennedy Jr. I was used to eating good food, breakfast, grapefruits, and sitting there in the dirt in Vietnam at a military base eating that cardboard. It tastes just like cardboard. I was like, how do they feed this to people? But yeah, all the puzzles keep fitting. The book is still open. All the pieces of the puzzle keep, every day it's something new. Every day I'm alive, I learn something new, which is awesome, and I can share it. And hopefully wake some people up to what's really going on.
Yeah. I like what you said, the book is still open, because there are lots of gaps in here, some deliberate, some, the book isn't totally chronological, but it is going to be so interesting when names and other details are able to come out. So interesting.
And people ask me, well, when did you start remembering? I've remembered. The only thing is, when I was tortured, when I was abused, I didn't want to remember. I still remember it, but I suppressed my memories. There's so much. I see pictures all the time. There's hundreds and thousands of pictures of me as a child. And I see one and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember sitting with this artist or that artist. But I'll show this again because my book is still open, people. I sent this to Jackie. I said, because my son, when me and my son lived together. So when me and Jackie were doing our internet chat, she was writing my book. My son had put his face in and say, hi, Jackie. hello, how are you doing today and all that. But Jackie sent me this and it was framed and I didn't want to tell her, but there was actually a glass in it over the top of it and the postman broke it. But she sent this with a letter of her condolences for me to have. Um, but it was so appreciated. It really
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
But my
yeah,
book's still open is what my point is. Every day I'm learning something new. Every day I can expose more and we can learn more
yeah.
together.
Well, I think the people that are watching now or will watch this appreciate your courage. I mean, like it's hard for us to put ourselves in your shoes. We haven't had that life, most of us. But think of how hard it would be. You've had, you've been kept in poverty, you've been almost killed so many times, pursued and all this other stuff. How hard it would be to come out in the public eye. And then we can see the censorship. All right. Like there's been times I've tried to make a comment on your video and it's not allowing me to do that. I can't get the video. It will kick me off the video. So think of how many other people are getting the same treatment. So
Oh,
censorship is real and it's affecting what we can and cannot see. Yeah.
Jody is a true lion. She was on TikTok. She sent me gifts. She sent me a thing to download pictures on my computer. She saw my hands that were all beat up and bloody and sent me a box of gloves. Um, but she did um, a little video of all my movie career from 1 Adam 12 to Green Acres to Mayberry RFD to My Three Sons, where I'm sitting out washing a car. I had a Hollywood career. They stole it. But she put it all on a video. I haven't even had time to download it, but she's awesome. Um, Jody Parmley is her name. They took her off of TikTok. They just removed her account, and it's all because of sharing my story.
Of course. Of course.
She was sharing it, and they removed Henry, they removed Mojo, they removed all these lions for simply holding this book up, sharing the truth.
Right.
And it's cabal doing it, people. It really is. They are suppressing us from the truth. We are being ruled, and it's a mission now. Hopefully, each and every day. Dr. Kia Pruitt. I did an interview with her. She's awesome. Dr. Kia Pruitt is awesome. They removed three of her YouTube channels for sharing my book, sharing my story. They removed her from TikTok. These people are getting removed for holding up my book, people.
Right.
Really are.
Right.
And it sucks, but we're gonna kick their ass. We're gonna kick their ass. We're gonna kick them in the balls because when they leave a hate comment, when they do their things, being on the defense like I am, it's really difficult because you got to wait for your enemies to expose themselves. Your enemies plan things to do. You got to basically trust in God and know what people are going to do before they do it. But it's really hard to be on the defense. But when these people leave a comment, they're exposing themselves. They really are. They're bringing the evil out to the light. When you see a hater comment, they're exposing the evil. I'm sitting here nothing but good, wanting to help the country, wanting to help the world, telling truthful stories. And you get the cabal, you get haters, you get people in there exposing themselves to the light, which is awesome. It's awesome. You know, me and Wayne, we used to have to wait. We used to have to wait for somebody to try to take my life, just like a worm on a hook. I was that worm, and it really gets frustrating.
Right.
Thank you, King Smarty, for the frequencies. But it's really hard after a while being that worm on that hook. I'm still the worm on the hook, though.
Yeah.
I still am. But I've done it my whole entire life. So it's just another day. But we're going to kick their ass. We're going to expose them. We already have. We already have.
You already have.
There's
Yeah.
no stopping it now. There's no stopping it.
It's only going to get deeper and deeper, which is really exciting and very interesting. And like I said, we don't we've read the story. It's so shocking. It's hard because we haven't experienced it ourselves for the most part, but just picture how much courage it would take for someone to bring this out and to get it out there without the censorship. So
Help me make this book number one,
yeah,
people. and we can share the truth about 9/11. We can share the truth about Reverend Jim Jones, the truth about Waco, the truth about the Oklahoma City bombing, the truth about the Las Vegas shooting, the truth about all the school shootings. People just don't nut up and get a weapon and go shoot up a school, people. It's the cabal. And we can expose that. Help me get my story out. They don't want my story out. Why? Because I'm exposing all that firsthand knowledge of the truth.
Right.
So let's do it. Let's expose these evil ones for their evil deeds. Let's right the wrongs. Help me get justice for my loved ones, my family, for me. And I'll be happy to meet the maker after I get justice. I really will.
Thank you for all your trouble. I mean, you've gone through a lifetime of trouble and torture and pain and suffering and betrayal and pretty much every negative emotion I can think of right now. But thank you for bringing this forward for us.
Thank
So
you for
we,
being by my side.
yeah, so
Thank you
we can
so very
learn.
much.
Yeah, like I've learned so much from you. And, you know, I've lived a very sheltered life compared to you. And I mean, I know the world is not what we think it is. It's so interesting to see this coming out and it's starting to open up and people are starting to see it. It's really exciting. So good. Thank you.
Oh well, I thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta get something. I was sitting here and a picture fell right off the wall.
It did.
Yeah, so I gotta go grab that picture. It's in
Okay.
my but it was just really weird. A few minutes ago, it just floated off the wall and hit the ground.
Now that means the universe wants you to show it.
I'll show it.
Yeah, pretty much all of these events he just mentioned are false flag events, or they're corrupted. There's an agenda there, or it's a cover up, and the story is not what the public has been told. And we know that. And even the big things, you know, like the US becoming free from England with the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, you know, all of the wars, even the reason we went to war is corrupted and fake, and the results are fake. So I think we're all going to be pretty shocked when that history comes out. My daughter and I just did a video on the Titanic, and most of us know that that was a false event. So that's on this channel as well. Very interesting stuff. And you know, that's just a tiny subsection of history that's incorrect. I think we're going to find out that the past, well, you know, it's been out there forever, but the past couple of 100 years have had major historic impact on us, and it's all fake. So we're going to find out all of this, and it's going to be shocking for everyone, especially those that don't have that open minds to listen to the stories, right? All
Hey,
right.
you people are at the right channel for the truth.
Yeah.
This is all the way from the top. This is exposing what they don't want you to know. So
Yeah.
it's a real education.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
This is the picture. I like this picture.
Oh, that is a good picture. We've got a little bit of glare. Can you bring it down so we can see your face more? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I like that picture though. But that one just floated off.
Interesting how that happened. I wonder what the reason was for that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been there for 3 or 4 weeks sitting up by the clock though, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
I was doing a live with Kia, Dr. Kia Pruitt, and the minute my live started, um, these RV tires, they have like 90 pounds of pressure in an RV tire, but it exploded. One of the RV tires, and they were, they were older tires, but they were brand new, had brand new tread, but it exploded. I didn't know it. I heard a big explosion. I went outside during our interview. I'm looking around. I didn't see anything. There was nobody around. I came back in. I'm like, what just happened? Well, a few days later, I went. I was walking around the trailer and I seen that the tire had exploded because you have to look under to see it, the tires, but it actually exploded right at the start of the interview, which was really strange.
What do you think caused that? Do you think it was foul play, like a physical device or whatever? Or
This is out there, but I was actually thinking a laser.
yeah, okay.
Not that, maybe the tire was just old and popped at that certain moment. I don't know, but um, you know,
Yeah.
being off the ground, just a tire sitting there exploding right at the middle of a interview, it was just really
Coincidental
strange.
timing. Well, I did an interview with King Smarty last Tuesday. All right. And during the live interview, I was attacked on camera. And like all people saw was me go like, "Ah," but
Wow.
I was blasted with a directed energy weapon blast. And for me, it was the loudest sound I've ever heard. But the sound didn't come through on the video. Isn't that weird? So people saw me flipping out and they don't know what happened. Several saw something above my head. Doesn't matter. But
At my son's house was from the 60s. I believe John Wayne even used that mobile home where my son's house was for to stay at when they did movies and things. Um, but I saw spirits in that house all day long, good or bad. They never,
yeah,
I never painted them in mind of. I've always seen spirits. I mean, not always, but
yeah.
if I see a spirit, it's like I reached out to one time. It was plain as day. Um, those old mirrors, that are you flip them over
Yeah.
or not flip them over. And I was taught as a child when someone passed away, you would flip those mirrors around so their spirit wouldn't go into the mirror. Well, I actually had a spirit while I was, half asleep, waking up, come out of one of those mirrors and walk next to the side of my bed. And I reached my hand out, um, because I wanted to say hi. And that spirit disappeared back into the mirror. Um, I've seen spirits like that my whole life. Um, I was in an old ranch house one time. This is a crazy ranch house because it had a hidden basement and whatever went there with the Masonic temple and every other thing. It was a crazy old house from a couple 100 years old. You weren't allowed to go in the basement because there was a tunnel in the basement. They said it was a gold mine, but who knows where it went. I had dreams, 100 dreams about that gold mine over and over. I couldn't get rid of them. When I was sitting in bed one time, the grandfather clock kept talking to me, clicking, clicking, making weird noises all night long while I was trying to sleep. Um, but what I was getting to is a couple of my videos, matter of fact, that I was making on TikTok, Facebook, sharing my book and stories. People said they saw spirits behind me. They would see a spirit and the curtains move. And it was like, they're here.
Totally, totally. So I have a website, awakenstories.com, which has currently been taken down like coincidentally, but I'm in process of getting it back up. But I write blogs about my unusual experiences like that. And I've had, like, I'll be sitting there on the couch and like I've had, I guess it was a troll come up and take a chunk out of my arm. And I said, ow, ow, I'm screaming, but I see you, dude. I can see you. And it kept biting me and taking chunks out of my arm while I watched it. And the pain was real. You know what I mean? It wasn't like mist, it was a real being. Crazy stuff.
I remember Max Quigley freaking out in the middle of the night saying he was actually attacked by spirits and they were trying to choke him. And I was like, well, you probably deserved it.
Yeah. Well, that stuff is real. I've had Bigfoot, but in like outside knocking on my bedroom window. I've had all sorts of interesting experiences, which is why I was, again, told to start writing these down as blogs. So my website will theoretically be up in a couple of days. And I haven't put everything out because there's some sensitive information out there that I think is important to keep, but interesting stuff.
I'd love to check it out when you get it
Yeah.
going. Send me the link and I'd love to check it out.
I'll do that. Yeah. Just, they're short little paragraphs or whatever. I've seen crazy things happen, a lot of crazy things. So when I started writing the website, I wrote an outline of all the blogs. I have like 400 blogs. I think I've only written 100 so far. because I've gotten sidetracked, but crazy stuff all my life, but interesting,
That's cool.
So that stuff is real, and often, sometimes there's a message there for you, like that picture falling down. I'm not sure why it happened. Super interesting timing though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't understand it, so I had to share it. But I like that picture.
yeah, I do too.
Robin took that picture of me. I actually was trying out my new holster for I got a really nice. I always wanted a 44 Magnum so I could be like Clint Eastwood. But I took it to a friend. I took it to a friend, and he put JFK on the handles. And I
Yeah,
said, I'm taking JFK all the way to the White House.
yeah.
I've always said that. Me and my daddy are going back to the White House for justice. And that's daddy, my 44 Magnum.
That's great. Well, Smarty calls another person daddy, and
Yeah, he's got me calling him daddy too.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got a comment on YouTube right before said, I don't know why these Bible thumpers think I don't walk with Jesus and walk with God and have God in my heart. Um, I know God's the creator of everything, but he's my friend. I talk to him. I talk to all my loved ones. People say, "Oh, you don't pray to your past loved ones." Why not? I talk to people that were my family that aren't here anymore. I ask them for help. I
Yeah,
ask the other side for help every day, all the time. But
yeah,
people say, "Oh, don't do that. That's no, don't go there." Heck yeah, Dad, you were the president of the United States. Come help me out.
yeah.
My sister, I seen my sister in a cloud. I don't know, 3, 4 weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, sister, I really need your help." But I talk to my loved ones all the time. I
Yeah.
got my religion is if you walk on the green grass that God made for you to walk on, say thanks God for that beautiful green grass. If I'm eating a hamburger, I say thanks God for giving me that cow and growing that pickle on there and the lettuce and the tomato for me. I appreciate it.
Right.
Everything is from God. But when I got that comment just an hour ago, and they were saying, "You need to find Jesus," thinking like I'm saying I'm God or something. Where do these comments come from? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's someone that's just trying to bash you, but like what you had said a couple weeks ago, and I had said to you, your attitude is so good. Like you could have come out of your experience and been bitter, hateful, revengeful. Like obviously you want justice, but you're doing it with a loving, open heart. You're telling your story, which is, really hard to retell the same stuff every time, especially when it's still painful, but you're doing it with a loving heart. And obviously you believe in God, where many are just like, God wouldn't have let this happen to me, and they would be extremely bitter and angry. You're not that way. And that's why God is here to support you. You're here on a mission. You're here to tell the story to help the rest of the people. Either learn and understand, or, find the corrupt ones and get them out of their position. There's so
Yeah,
many corrupt ones in our government, in Hollywood, in entertainment, in positions of authority, judges, doctors, lawyers, you name it, they're all corrupt and they need to be exposed and taken out of their position.
so many.
Yeah,
Just to let people know what I have to go through each and every day.
yeah,
I woke up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I had a little hour napper, but I got up and I was like, "Oh, I got to take the dog out." So I put the dog on his little leash. What goes through my mind? I saw my father's head exploding for the millionth time. And I thought, okay, I'm ready to meet my God. If I walk outside to take my dog for a walk and my head explodes, it's all good. It's all good. But I have to think about that every time I open the goddamn door. Every time. And I have to. I have to be ready for what happens next. but that's how I think. That's how I have to
Right,
think.
right.
I step outside and it's like, I'm still here. I look off into the woods and, with the 1,000-yard stare, like what's out there beyond my sight
Yeah,
every single day. Every time I do something, I got to be prepared to meet my maker.
yeah,
It, my story is that huge, what I'm exposing.
yeah.
And I am hoping those spirits I pray to and my brothers and people protecting me, being on the defense, you know, make it all good. I pray each and every day that it's all good.
It's going to be good. You've got supporters from England, France, Europe, and they watch this channel, they comment, and they're like, the story ripples out from, again, we're here in the US. It's going to ripple up from the US, but it exposes stuff that's in other governments, other countries. Like it's a global problem, it's a global story. And it's like the tip of the iceberg or whatever, or what would you call it? You take the block out and the rest start to crumble down. Your block is being pulled out and it's been inching out, and pretty soon that's going to loosen up the other blocks, the other whistleblowers, so they can tell their stories.
Yeah, I mean, um, I don't even understand. I don't know how other people can get it, but my story is world. When when I was young, growing up, I was in Ireland. I was talking with the IRA that were blowing themselves up. I met these people in secret. I went to the Queen of England and I said, look, these people are doing it because they're freaking hungry. Stop making these people hungry and it will stop. I told the Queen of England that. I went to England. I cleaned bedpans for the elderly. I cleaned bedpans. That was my job. I fed the chickens. I gathered the eggs. But I was being hit out by the Queen of England. I've seen so much. Australia, these other countries that I've seen, it affects the world. It really, really does. My story affects everybody around the world.
It totally does.
Um, England being taken over by body doubles, the throne being overthrown, just like our United States government has been overthrown.
Right.
It's all connected. And we need to get rid of the cabal. It's that simple. That's my mission. That's my mission, is to get rid of the cabal that want to rule over us. Back in the Roman days, they would get select an emperor to control Rome. They would be audited, and if the audits didn't check out, if they ended up being corrupt, they would drag them through the street. They did, Rome was a very powerful empire for a long time, but it was brutal, and we've allowed us to be weak. We have seriously allowed our governments to be weak. Us people haven't stood up to get rid of these evil ones.
Yeah.
And it's time. It's time we get my story out and expose them. Somebody made a comment. I'm going back to comments again, but sharing my story isn't doing anything. Words are cheap. They're telling me words are cheap. You need to do something about it. Well, I don't know what people, you want to help me, go buy my book, because if we get this book to #1, they cannot deny my story. If we share in the supermarkets, if we share everywhere we go, it's going to get out. We're doing something. And that's the main thing, is to get the word out to the people that, they've suppressed the media so we don't get it out. But it's a huge achievement just to have this book written. But when they say I'm not doing anything, I'm willing to put my life on the line each and every day to get this story out. That's something to me. It may not be something to the haters or something to the comments saying I'm not doing nothing. But there's plenty of lions out there doing something every day, and that's sharing the story, getting taken down, booted, harassed, and every other thing by the cabal.
I like the copy of the cover of your book, the little flyer your followers made. That's a very low tech, very effective way to get the word out. Putting that in all, like the libraries and anywhere that has a bulletin board for the community. the picture is very compelling, but then you've got the word, and then you're like about like by John Kennedy Jr. What? That is very eye-catching. So that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
And King Smarty actually, he shared a picture of, he made some dog tags, um, just like this, but it's got my book on it. I can't wait to see it and, and hold
Yeah.
it and feel it.
Yeah.
But on the back, it's got my picture of the book on the front, and on the back, it's got stolen identity, unveiling the real John Kennedy Jr. on the back. And then it's got the frequency underneath it. Smarty's Corner.
Yeah.
And Smarty is so awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait to get him. But he made me a video. I shared that video. I really can't wait to put it on. I really can't.
Yeah. Well, those are going to be really, they'll eventually probably be collector's items, but they are operational jewelry. So they are going to protect against EMFs and radiation and all sorts of stuff. But they've got healing frequencies in it, just like the one you're wearing now will have healing frequencies. So
Smarty's
those,
awesome.
yeah. So those of us that will purchase those dog tag, necklaces will receive healing while we wear them. It's awesome.
Everywhere I go, anything Donald Trump does, and it's all lies. But you'll see it. I go to the flea market, and I'm in Arizona. Everybody's all Trump here.
Mhm.
There's a big Trump sign right down the road, and it makes me sick every time because people aren't awake to,
Yeah.
all the what's in his closet, who he
Yeah.
really is. They just go with the program. They're just Trump supporters going with the program. But I see
Yeah.
Trump merchandise everywhere I go. Trump hats, Trump. And I was going to say, hey, Smarty, let's get something with John on it. And it was like, I was thinking that. And like the next day, Smarty showed me a video of it. And I was like, quit reading my mind, Smarty.
Well, that's weird because I had a vision of those dog tags and I was going to text him and I was like, oh, I was on a trip. So I thought, I'll wait till I get home. I got home, saw him a few days later and I said, hey, we got to make these dog tags. He goes, I'm already on it. So we had like a telepathic like hit at the same time kind of, but he actually took the action, so that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called him the other day and he really made my day. I'll share, in the future video.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
awesome.
He brings you up. He lifts your spirits. He's always in a good mood and very positive and focused. But it's not even anything he does. It's just the way he is. And it just brings your energy field up and your vibe up and gives you hope. And it's so awesome to be around him. So we're so lucky, aren't we?
Yeah, I made a video sharing the other day. They took it down and I made another one. But yeah, I called King Smarty and he really lifted my spirits up.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
really did.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very glad we got a chance to talk today. And a lot of times you'll tell us little tidbits and things we didn't know, which is really appreciated. But the people watching this are your supporters. We're here for you. We're here to help. It's hard because we're not organized. We don't have a lot of funding or whatever, but just being aware and helping others become aware is really valuable.
It's the key. Sharing, hit
Totally
that share
valuable.
button. Go at the bottom of this when it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sue sends me a copy and I post it on my um,
Yeah.
YouTube and share on Facebook and stuff. But the key is sharing the truth.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to take our countries back. That's how we're going to destroy the cabal. So if you don't like the way situations are and the government's screwed up, all
Yeah.
it takes is a share, a prayer, but subscribe, like, share these other people
Right.
that are sharing the story. United we stand, because divided we're falling. I was talking with Smarty and he was like, I know you're being hindered. And I was like, brother, they're kicking me off, they're hacking me, and he's like, I'm handling it, brother. And I was
Yeah.
like, right
Yeah.
on.
Yep. It's going to be handled. You'll be out there telling the story to huge crowds of people that are going to be shocked beyond belief. And that's going to be good. I know,
The support is so
support.
there. It's
Yeah,
so there to the people that hear it. That's why they don't want it to be heard.
right.
That's why they want to suppress it.
Yeah,
Because of this we should have, and I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. This interview right now should have 1 million viewers. It
yeah,
really should. This is the most important story of the century. It
right.
really is. And I don't know how many I can't see on here, but it should have millions. But it's going to take us to do it because they don't want it to happen. So
That's,
hit that share button.
yeah,
Let's get the million viewers we deserve.
that's true.
And that's how we got to do it.
Yep.
Old
Yeah.
school, just like that letter of that family posting my flyer on, the shopping center billboard.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
That's a great idea. Great idea. Very
I've,
eye-catching.
I've had people say they've gone to the library asking for the books for them to get books. Keep up the work, Lions.
Yeah.
You're so much appreciated. And with that said, remember 8 o'clock tonight, Bill Mezer on
Message.
Facebook. Look him up,
Yeah.
check him out, join us, and we'll share some more.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your trouble. And I look forward to talking to you again and hearing more. And for those that are watching, please share this story and get the book out there for us. Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you.